What's going on, everybody? My name's Joshua Cleary, and I'm a full-time producer for OSU Max. As a documentary storyteller, from the beginning of my work, even in my time in high school, I had to go and look for my resources when it came to learning the settings that were on my camera, on YouTube, on Instagram, and from a bunch of different creators that I really look up to. Part of my journey was spent searching for so long, trying to collect all the best tools that I could to make myself the best creator possible. I want to be able to give those things back to you guys and hopefully speed up your journey and shorten your process of searching. So I want to get into the basics, and that is f-stop, which is also known as aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. Those three things were so key in me being able to step my work up, even though you might not think of it because they're the most basic settings that are often talked about. So I want to show you how using those things can affect how cinematic your footage looks and really makes it all fit together as one piece. Shutter speed refers to the length of time the camera shutter is open. A fast shutter speed will freeze motion, while a slow shutter speed will create motion blur. This can be used to convey a sense of action or to create a dreamlike slow motion effect. So when it comes to shutter speed, the general rule is that you want to double what your frame rate is with your shutter speed. So if you're shooting in 24 frames a second, 1/50 would be your shutter speed. If you're shooting 60 frames a second, 1/125 would be your shutter speed. And if you're shooting 120 frames a second, 1/250th of a second would be your shutter speed. Oftentimes I have found myself cranking that shutter speed to double what the recommended amount was. So whenever I was shooting slow-mo like 60 frames a second or 120 frames a second, I could boost that slow motion, and while slowing it down, the image still stayed sharper when other people who I'd see in their content would slow it down, and the players that were moving would often look blurry, or it would just be an effect that wasn't really to my taste. Now, for everyone out there, I want you guys to use these settings to really make your work exactly what you want it to look like. I don't want anybody trying to emulate other people they see unless that is truly what you yourself are envisioning in your mind. I've oftentimes taken little pieces from other people and put them into my work because I've really liked what they thought and could see that in my mind, but I didn't know how to put it all together. So taking advice from me, taking advice from other creators will just make your work better, and it is way more important to diversify where you are getting your information from than just trying to get it all from one source. Aperture, also known as f-stop, refers to the amount of light that your lens is letting in. A larger aperture, which would coincide with a smaller f-stop number like 1.8 or 2.8, will create a shallower depth of field, making the subject stand out from the background. A smaller aperture, coinciding with a larger f-stop, will create a deeper depth of field, keeping everything in focus. This can be used to create a sense of intimacy or create a tension that draws you into a certain detail. I like to use a lower f-stop whenever I would shoot at Skinsley. The gym was such a small environment that by using a lower f-stop, it created that depth of field I was looking for that kind of made it super close and made every player stand out from one another. Whereas in the sports world today, in my documentary storytelling, if I'm shooting a wide shot from, say, above, I would bump my aperture almost to f8 just to make sure all the players that I'm shooting are visible and easy to be seen. ISO refers to the camera's sensitivity to light. A higher ISO will make the image brighter, but will also create artificial noise because the upping of the shadows will take that light that isn't there and put it into your image. A lower ISO will create a cleaner image, but may require more light. This can be used to create a moody, low light look if you have the ability to light your scene the way you want, or if the natural lighting allows for shadows or anything creative that you might be able to harness in your work. By adjusting these settings, you can create a variety of different looks and moods for your videos. Experiment with different combinations to find the perfect settings for your cinematic video experience. Thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to bringing you guys more tips, and hopefully they can all help you out in whatever way works best for you. I'll see you next time.